I've been so busy and I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm back making a video. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for today's video, and then I realized I travel a lot, at least once a month, and everyone's like, why are you going here? Like, why? I'm like, I just like traveling. I like to find good deals and just go, because there's so much to see, and we're always stuck in such like a little bubble, and there's so much more to see outside of where we live. So I am a huge fan of traveling. I want to get a tattoo stamped on my booty of an airplane or something. Also, I'm sarcastic if you didn't catch on. But yes, I love traveling. It's just the best. Like, it's the best thing ever. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it'd be nice to have money to travel, but believe me, I'm not rich. I find a lot of good deals, and that's why I wanted to share it with you guys, how you can travel on a budget. So let's get started, and I'm going to share with you guys my tips on how I travel on a budget. Homegirl needs a budget, because homegirl does not make millions. So the first thing that I like to do and research wherever I go is looking at Airbnb, and it's just airbnb.com. None of this is sponsored. They're really cheap places that you can rent, and you can either do like a room, and obviously the room is going to be cheaper, or you can rent like an entire house, and it just depends what you are looking for. Like when I went to New York, we just rented a room, and the place was, and most of the time they're not there because they are working or they're out doing things. So I know a lot of people are like, it's weird, you stay in people's homes and blah, blah, blah. But it's very safe, and every person that you rent has reviews. So anytime before I book, I always read the reviews, and it'll kind of tell you about the place, about the person that is renting it, and all the stuff. So I've never had any awkward or weird experience. Like the place I'm going in Salt Lake, it's actually an Airbnb, but I'm renting the whole entire apartment. It is cheaper typically than a hotel. So that's the first thing that I would recommend doing. And it's really cool because it kind of shows you, wherever you go, the history of the area where you're at. So it's very unique, and I just like it. When I look for flights, I use Google Flights. So you just go to Google and then type where you're going. And so like, I always fly out of Chicago, so I'll do like Chicago to wherever. And then Google Flights basically pulls all the flights and different times and blah, 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 blah. And for the day, if you're not planning on going on a certain day, you can select the day, and it'll tell you like the cheapest day. So I will go look, if I'm planning on going somewhere, if I think of a place and I'm like, I want to go here, then I look for like the whole week, and then I just see which day is the cheaper. I look to see which day is the cheapest, and then I kind of select that day. I want to make sure that you like delete your search history, because it's really weird, but it has happened to me. Google like knows you're wanting to go to this place, so they'll actually raise the rates, and it's really weird. It has happened to me because I did it and it was higher, and then I like deleted the search results and it went lower, and I'm like, this is weird. So for me, just the way my work schedule goes, if I go like for a long weekend somewhere, I go Friday to Monday, so that's usually what I have to do. But if you can go any day of the week, Wednesdays are typically always the cheapest day, because no one usually wants to fly out on a Wednesday. Whenever they have deals from that place to that place, they'll like send me an email like, today only. It's not always today only, but they'll be like, $65 round trip, and that is also how I find really good deals, is signing up for like flight deals. I went to New York for $65 round trip, so that is just really how I find flight deals, just doing all those different things. So I don't fly out of the country a lot. I would love to fly out of the country more, but I usually travel solo a lot, just because not a lot of my friends or people can travel all the time. If you are going out of the country, I would suggest going at off season. First of all, it's not going to be as busy or a ton of people there, and also your flights will be so much cheaper. I am going to Mexico, I think, next year, and you just don't want to go when it's like spring break, Christmas break, because that's when the flights are like so expensive, but if I went like an off time, it's just really cheap. So it's great. And not as busy. I live in a smaller area. It's not like super small, but I'm like an hour and a half to 2 hours from Chicago O'Hare. So for me, I always look out of O'Hare just because it is always cheaper. And my smaller airport here, they always end up having to go from like here to like Chicago O'Hare or Detroit just because it's a small airport and they still have to go to another one. So you're always going to have a connecting flight. It's just a pain. And it's like double or triple the price than Chicago. Not a lot of people like to travel far, but that's what I would suggest if you want to find cheaper flights. And usually it's just like a one flight. You won't have to connect to all these other flights. I travel to cities a lot, so if you're going to cities, this is what I would recommend, especially because I do live close to Chicago and I would never drive to Chicago. I literally drove to Chicago for the day and it was a huge mistake. I went to see one of my friends and then I wanted to go downtown. I went downtown for an hour and a half and they charged me $50 for parking. I recommend if you're going to a city just to avoid rental cars, unless if you know you're going to be traveling not just downtown but like all over the area, then maybe you'd want one. But for me, anytime I go to like Chicago or New York, no rental car is needed. I'll just take taxis or Ubers and then you don't have to pay parking, and it's just a pain when you're like, when you pay $20 a day for a rental car and you maybe will go downtown all day and then you have to pay $50 to park it. So you'll just spend a lot of money with the rental car in cities. Now when I go to LA, I go all over, so I'm not just downtown. And my cousin where I stay is not downtown. So it works for me there, and the parking actually in LA is not bad. But anywhere else, parking or rental car is a no for me. If you're traveling somewhere tropical, this is my advice. Go to a resort. If you like to eat, if you like to drink, which I like to do both of those things, then I would recommend going to a resort. I think I'm going to Mexico next year, like I said, and I can get my flight, resort, and obviously like the unlimited food and drinks for like under $900, which is such a good deal when you think about all of it. So if you're going somewhere tropical, I would recommend staying in a resort. And another way to cut your cost is traveling with a friend, or the more people you add, obviously it's going to be cheaper. That is just, it's a great way to travel. Even though I travel a lot alone, but I don't mind it. But like when I went to New York, I did travel with a friend, and it really does cut the cost down a lot because you're splitting everything, and it's great. If you go to a city or really anywhere that has public transportation, that will save you moolah. Like that will save you a lot of money. So for airport parking, because I do go to Chicago, I know parking at airports are just ridiculous. Like they're crazy. So what I do is I use Spot Hero, and I found this out a while ago because I was like, I do not want to spend $40 a day at the airport to park. So Spot Hero, and this isn't even for like airport parking. Like honestly, they're everywhere, and they'll find you like pretty good deals on parking, and you can look at the parking garages or wherever. So it's not sketchy, and I've used it a lot, and I've always had pretty good experience there. It's really huge to travel on a budget because then you can travel more, but I don't think a lot of people, I don't know, I think a lot of people think of like traveling is so expensive, and it can be, but if you travel on a budget, it's not all so bad. So I hope you learned something. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more of this.